Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I want to share ayat with y'all. One of my very favorite ayats in the Quran that was life changing for me once I was able to really grasp it, right? Because I had a conversation with a brother, that was kind of disturbing, but because it had to get extremely real, and I kind of want to point out some things, because this is serious, man, and like us Muslims, we got to get to a point where we able to change our point of view on some things and really take a good look at it, because this is a serious situation, man. This deen is a serious situation. Let me share this ayat with you first, right? It's in Surah 7, ayat number 146. Allah Azza wa Jalla al-Muqtadir says, I shall turn away from my ayats. So you know that the Quran is, every verse is an ayat. So the Quran is full of ayats, right? I shall turn away from my ayats. Now I'm going to use Tafsir Ibn Kathir to read a little bit of it, but like when you read in Tafsir Qurtubi, where it says I shall turn away from my ayat, some of the Salaf as-Salih said that this meant He's going to turn you away, Allah's going to turn you away from the Quran. Like even if you're reading it, even if you're reciting it, you won't be able to understand it to a point of implementation. You're just not going to be able to absorb it. No matter how much you're reading it, it doesn't matter. So, and if Allah says He's going to do it, Allah's going to do it. No ifs, ands, buts, or maybes, right? So I shall turn away from my ayats those who behave arrogantly on the earth without a right. Right? So, one, you have to look into arrogantly what it means in Islam, in Arabic. It's a little bit strong. It's not 100% exactly how we see it in English, because like how I do, some people probably never even seen the word arrogant. They probably never looked it up in a dictionary, so they might not 100% know the actual definition of arrogant, but they just know it from the way we use it. You might see somebody who may be a little conceited. Oh man, that brother arrogant. Oh man, that sister arrogant. Because that's the way people be using it, but it might not fit the actual definition of what arrogant is. You know what I'm saying? It might be somebody just have a little confidence in themselves. You just don't know them. But we name call in the urban inner city community. So sometimes you really need to go look at the actual definition sometimes, as opposed to the way you hear it, the way we use arrogant. Now sometimes some people do be arrogant, but sometimes it's not used correctly, right? So for those who behave arrogantly on earth without a right, okay? So let's say, for instance, this is a small picture. You have somebody like, I'm just going to say a Michael Jordan. Because even people who don't watch sports or don't know, they know Michael Jordan. They know Michael Jordan can hoop. People in the world, some people feel like Michael Jordan is the best basketball player ever. Now, if Michael Jordan on the court and people step on the court and he feel like he can hoop you, and he can, and he may be talking a little trash, that's not acting arrogantly without right. He has the right to act like that because that's who he is. That's him. Now, somebody who think they Michael Jordan and don't even have a third of his skills, and they walk around and carry themselves like they Michael Jordan. They really think they Michael Jordan, but they don't even have a third of his skills. So they treat people like they are Michael Jordan. That's being arrogant without right. You understand? Just to give it a little small detail to bring it into a little bit of an understanding, right? So those who behave arrogantly on earth without a right, and even if they see all of the ayats, they'll never believe in them. They're not going to fully accept them. And this brings to the conversation that I had to have to show there's certain things, man, of a lot of us we not accepting when it comes to the deen, right? And if they see the ways of righteousness, they will not adopt it as a way. But if they see the way of error, they will adopt that way. That is because they have rejected our ayats and were heedless of them. When you heedless, man, you're not handling your business. You're not taking it serious. You just overlooking it. It don't matter to you. So what's leading for this? What's leading to this? Now, you know, as Muslims, this can be a Muslim because Quran al-Kareem is for us. Also, people who never going to accept Islam. But the thing is, what's leading it to this? The way we carry ourselves on earth, the way we walk around carrying ourselves. This is a promise from Allah, right? So let's just take a look at what it says, right? Arrogant people will be deprived of Allah's ayat, of Allah's ayats. Allah said, I shall turn away from my ayats those who behave arrogantly on the earth without a right. Allah says, this is some of the tafsir. Some of this is in Tafsir Qurtubi too, right? I shall deprive the hearts of those who are too proud to obey me. So, this is some of your Islamic form of arrogance. When Allah say, don't do something, and you choose to do it. But it's out of pride. Like, some people have too much pride to wear their pants above their ankles. Some people have too much pride to do a lot of things. And sometimes we hide that under, it ain't street. It ain't urban. That ain't the urban way for the Muslims. That's the ancient way. That's for the Arabs. Right? I shall deprive the hearts of those who are too proud to obey me, and arrogant with people without right, from understanding the signs and proofs that testify to my might, my laws, and my commandments. And just as they acted arrogantly without justification, Allah has disgraced them with ignorance. So, you're going to come, this is Allah letting you know. Their badge, their scar, is that they're going to be ignorant. They're going to be Muslim. They might even have a position, but they're going to be ignorant. Allah is letting us know. Allah said in another ayat, and we shall turn the hearts and their eyes away from Allah's guidance as they refuse to believe therein for the first time. coming from Surah 6, ayat number 110. So this is like in Tafsir's Ibn Kathir, where they use another Quran ayat as dalil and proof and strengthen the Quran ayat that you're discussing. Like Allah spoke on this more than once, and it can happen in more than one way, right? So here come another Quran ayat. So when they turned away from the path of Allah, Allah turned their hearts away from the right path. They did something that caused Allah to do something else. See, you have a Quran ayat where Allah Azza wa Jal says Allah doesn't change the condition of a people until they start to change it for themselves. Now when you go to the tafsirs of that exact ayat, it's generally referring to if you're in a good situation and you're on your deen and you're on the right path, Allah isn't going to change that until you start to change it. So even when you look at these ayats, right? Look at this right here. So when they turned away from the path of Allah, Allah turned their hearts away. So they changed first. Now, on the flip side, it can also be understood that if you're in a bad situation and you live in a bad life, Allah isn't going to change that until you start to change. Until you start to become a good person. You see what I'm saying? So Allah doesn't change the condition of a people from the good to the bad or from the bad to the good until they start to change it for themselves. So when you look at people who lose their deen, and this is why I pay attention closely, and one of the first ayats in the Quran that affected me when I was very young, when there was no hadiths, there was no nothing, and what I did when I seen something in the Quran, I would immediately try to act up on it. Probably around maybe the 5th time I had read it. Because it took me reading it that many times for me to realize this isn't some book that you just read like the Bible. You see what I'm saying? This isn't a book that you just read like the Bible. This is stuff you have to start to implement. So that ayat was, take a look at the path that the people chose who came before you and look and see what was their outcome. So you can see what happened look at how great the Egyptians was with the pyramids and the Sudanese and that whole area, the people of Misr. Those pyramids had whole dynasties. Now they stuffed just like museums. Those areas where the Romans had those cathedrals where they had people fight lions inside and all the weird stuff that they did for entertainment. It's just ruins now. Right? But I took that in my everyday life and looked at the people I was around. And I made these different decisions than them. You see what I'm saying? Because I seen, okay, all of them doing this and that, all of them in prison. These ones who are here moving just like this, that, and the third, all of them done got shot. Or they done got caught somewhere and got the brakes beat off of them. Somebody took their belt off and whooped them. You know what I'm saying? These cats who doing this and that got caught. Now they telling on everybody and they snitching. And now people riding around with the belt trying to whoop them. They got to leave town and different stuff, right? Because this is my environment. So I looked at all that because of that Quran ayat and said, I see what's the outcome of that. And if I choose it, eventually I'm going to end up in one of these circumstances. As for the ones who got shot and didn't live, those who, some of them died. So I had to look at that too. I'm either get killed, I'm going to get shot up. Some people going to catch me and take that belt off and whoop me, and I'm going to be sitting around, brute, ribs, broke, face, black eyes, fat mouth, and arm broke or something. You know, I mean, straight jumping and PD rolling cats, beating the brakes off of them, you know, with no mercy. You know what I'm saying? And then I was seeing, like, sometimes when people would, like, get jumped after a party, you know, I done been around people who jump people and stuff at a party. You know, I even watched it. You know, wasn't no need for me to get in it. They already molly-whopping these cats, right? But the next day, when I would be around them, wallahi, they would be sad and have regrets. Like, man, we had to do that. But their mindset was, man, we was drunk and high, man. You know, we ain't had to whoop dude like that, man. I was drunk, man. I was high. So I realized sometimes, man, that stuff when people be busting people in the heads and over whooping them, they be drunk and high, like they don't be in their right state of mind. So even thinking on that, let me don't put myself in a position where I have to defend myself and get away with it because some few drunk cats finna try to over whoop me, you know? But it was that Quran ayat that I always kept in my mind. So I always, like, even right now, even with the deen, if we making some decisions and this and that at the masjid and this and that, and it's something I done already seen the outcome of, I'm gonna do something different. So the point of that and understanding, if you in a good situation with Allah and you on your deen, like for real, and you have a real true understanding of the deen, don't change it. Because although I wasn't making a joke about the brothers who ate the pork, but seeing how, just looking at that path that they chose, and then I just seen over the years, like, certain aspects of the deen that they was on that was accurate, and then they got taken off of it. Like going from praying the right way to praying in the wrong way, and it ain't even in their heart to even come back and pray the right direction. They can't even understand it. And I don't know, and I know it's something in them that Allah turning that away from them. Won't even allow them to understand it, amongst other things. But, you know, sitting around, you know, I'm just saying, when I seen people make those decisions, even like I look at myself, the times when, you know, I'm drinking and I'm chiefing and this and that, and I'm Muslim, but I wasn't praying. I didn't even know how to pray. Coming to true Islam was being turned away from me, but I didn't know it, but I was reading my Quran. So, bringing us to another point, right? As I read another ayat about how you could get turned away from the deen, but it's based off of decisions that you're making. And then you start to lose your deen and start to be turned away. Like I said, man, what some of them cats, man, who I just seen playing around with that pork and the Quran ayats, I done seen them get to a point, man, where they dealing with women that believe in the ancestors and all in the house burning sage and stuff around them, and now they've got some of that stuff in them. Like, you wouldn't even know they was Muslim by even having a conversation with them. Like, if you a person who has some knowledge and you have a conversation with them, you wouldn't believe they was Muslim. But here they could get away with it because people, they don't understand like that. But like I said, when you look at the people who choose a certain path, man, and they play with that deen, and then years later, You take a look at them, just like the people who even chose to put pork in Muslims' food, but making it aware that pork is in it because they eat pork, they might not even be Muslim no more. You see what I'm saying? Like, Allah, but when you read the Quran and understand this, especially with the tafsirs, you have to be careful with this deen, man. Right? So look what else it says before we get to the other point, right? Again, I shall turn away from my ayats those who behave arrogantly on the earth without a right. Allah says, I shall snatch away comprehension of the Quran from them and turn them away from my ayats. So, like it said in Kurtubi, basically Allah gonna turn away the Quran from you. Even if you're reading it, you won't be able to understand it for implementation. Yeah, you reading it, there's going to be some things in there that you understand and that you resonate with, but can you put it into practice? Do you even grasp that this is something I'm supposed to be put into practice, or is you just reading it like a feel-good book, like it's a Bible or something? Right? Ibn Jarir commented on Sufyan's statements that this indicates that this part of the ayat is an address to this ummah. So again, this is talking to the Muslims. Some people, when they read the Quran, they don't look at it like, yo, Allah talking to the Muslims about this bad stuff and this behavior. They automatically think that when these type of things is there, it's referring to disbelievers, as in Jews and Christians, or atheists and Buddhists or whatever. But like Sufyan them said, this is addressing the Muslim Ummah, right? This is not what one say, look, this is not necessarily true for Ibn Uyayna. Actually meant that this occurs in every Ummah. So it's not specific. So if you was a Christian upon what was correct, right, and you carried yourself a certain type of way, then you didn't really understand the real Injil, or what was sent, the real version of the Torah, what was sent down from the Torah. And people who was arrogant without right in those circumstances, they didn't ever be able to grasp the Torah. That's basically what he's saying, right? So it was for every ummah as well. Now this is just statements from the Salaf, right? This occurs in every ummah, and that there is no difference between one ummah and another ummah in this regard. But he says Allah knows best, because this is his opinion. Allah said next, and even if they see all of the ayats, they will not believe in them. Allah said in a similar ayat from Surah 10, ayat number 96 and 97, truly, those against whom the wrath of your Lord has been justified will not believe, even if every sign should come to them until they see the painful torment. So something got to happen to them first. And that's what happened to some people. Some people got to go to prison to see that it's time to tighten up. Some people got to get shot, be in a hospital bed to see it's time to do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? Islamically. Some people got to get in bad car wrecks. Some people got to have a bad breakup. Some people, parents or siblings had to pass away for them to see, man, I need to get right with Allah. A painful torment has to happen to them first. We don't want that to happen for us, right? Allah's statement, and if they see the way of righteousness, they will not adopt it as a way. Means even if a way of guidance and safety appears before them, they will not take it. But if the way that leads to destruction and misguidance appear to them, they adopt that way. Allah explains why they do this. That is because they have rejected the ayats that did come to them. They disobeyed Allah. When the Quran said Don't eat pork, they chose to eat it. When the Quran says don't do this, they chose to do it. That's rejecting Allah's ayats on whatever level that we do it, right? And they rejected it in their hearts. SubhanAllah. And were heedless of them, meaning gaining no lessons from the ayats. Allah's statement, those who deny our ayats, and the meeting in the hereafter, vain are their deeds. Their deeds ain't even going to count for them. Right? Indicating that whoever amongst them does this, remaining on this path until death, then all of their deeds will be in vain. All their deeds will be in vain. Surah 7, ayat number 146. Now some of us, because it says that, and I'm throwing another ayat, when you enter this state, you're going to choose misguidance over guidance. But you're going to think it's a right. Some people can't see that they're on that path. That's one of the punishments of Allah. Because you read your Quran, because you may recite a little bit when you pray, right? You may not see this for yourself. That's one of the punishments of Allah, because Allah gonna lead you blind to it. You're turned away from it because of the way you carry yourself and because of the way that you treat people. And like one of the things in the deen, one of the things that the deen teaches, you could really know what's to a person by how they treat the people that they don't need. Bump into some people that don't need you and watch how they treat you. Or if they do need you but don't need you at the moment, watch how they make sure that they keep y'all self tied together for when the day comes that they do need you. These things is an indication of the wrong things in a Muslim heart. So with that ayat, how Allah can turn you away from his ayat, and it do say that in the Arabic, right? The ayats. We know that the Quran is the ayats, but the sun, moon, stars, this and that, the way that you could look at the signs of Allah Azza wa Jal in the earth, these is proof and evidence of Allah's existence, of Allah's might, his power. Some people might not even know how to read the signs of Allah Azza wa Jal, such as, let all electricity, may Allah protect us from it, but let's all electricity just get damaged. So you ain't got no phones, no lights, no street lights, no nothing. How many Muslims gonna know when it's time to pray? They don't even know how to look at the signs that Allah Azza wa Jal set for us to pray. How many people gonna know how to look at the moon for Ramadan and Shaban, the 3 light days? How many people gonna know how to follow the moon cycle to know what day of the week it is? The things that Allah Azza wa Jal set for us to keep track of time. How many people gonna know when it's time to make Tahajjud, Qiyam al-Layl? See, you need them phones. Y'all don't know how to deen that way. You don't even know how to deen that way. Right? And this is a weakness. So let me wrap it up, man, with this conversation that I had with this brother, man. And all 3 of these ayats tie into this conversation. How Islam, if the Quran turned away from you, the whole deen basically is gone. Because the Quran is the foundation. Even the hadiths build off the hadiths is the Quran being put in action. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, you might still know how to make salat. You might know how to make dua. Some of these ritualistic things that we do, but understanding and implementing the Islam in your whole entire life, you might not have it. Looking at the path that people chose before you make that choice. See, you got to know where you want to go in order to get there. You understand that statement? So when you looking down the path of those who chose it before you and seen the outcome, if you don't know where you want to go, you're not going to know who to look at. You got to know where you want to go in order to get there. And Allah doesn't change the condition of a people until they start to change it for themselves, either from good to bad or bad to good. So, young brother, hit me up, right? Serious situation. Little young cat, 2 kids, terrible situation with his girl, right? She going left on him. You know what I'm saying? Disappearing. Ain't came home in 7-8 days. Don't have a clue where she is. Phone off. But and you know, she ain't even coming home to check on the kids or nothing. So he left with the kids. He trying to deem, you know, he done accepted Islam, you know. But he done been Muslim probably about 6 years, right? Went to the masjid early on when he first came to the deen, and I'm just keeping it real. Them brothers ran him off, you know. The only person he was only even interested in wallahi, I'm not trying to big myself up. He wasn't even interested. He don't want to have any conversation with none of these guys. He don't even want to see them in the streets. So so anytime when he always know how to get in touch with me when something going on. So I go sit up, listen to him. He pouring his heart out, you know. He really affected, you know. He can't handle the situation. So, you know, he dealing with intoxicants to feel a little better. You know what I'm saying? He ain't reading his Quran. He not praying. Daqui. Now, this brother situation, right? Because a few of these brothers around here have girlfriends. They got this saying in this city that you can have a girlfriend as long as you top bleaking her. I told him don't listen to that crap. Marry that sister. I'll do the marriage for y'all. But he want to sit around and have girlfriends because they do it. You know, she eat pork, so it's pork all in the house. She do holidays, so it be Christmas trees and stuff all in the house. Cool. But I used to tell him, Aki, you need to marry that girl, man. I understand at the time when she got pregnant the first time, this is your girlfriend. It's not permissible, man, for you to be, you're supposed to lower your gaze. You seeing her naked, she seeing you naked. Y'all doing what lovers do. It's pork all in the house. This isn't pleasing to Allah, man. You need to marry her. Because you can't count how many sins that you've fallen into, and y'all like this every day of the week, bro. He still didn't want to do it. They on their second kid now, right? And I'm still now, and throughout this, because some of the brothers, not judging them, but some of the brothers, they smoke, they drink, and they do it around some of these other little young guys like it's cool, and they had this and that. So he's back into that, right? Whole Dean is basically gone, no fast and no nothing. So I sit down and I say to this brother, just like this, man. I bring up the Quran ayat. Did you look at the path of these people that they chose before you took it? Did you see the outcome of it? How many of them do you really see that's on real deen before you chose this path, bro? He said, man, I didn't pay attention to it like that. So I asked him a serious question, and me telling this story is because I want everybody to do the same thing. Because this is our problem, man. I said, do you know anybody in the streets that you came up with that got killed or died in a tragic type of way? A car wreck or something? He was like, yeah. Right? I said, do you have any homies and stuff, man, who done got locked up and possibly done got jumped and had to fight in prison and just going through different stuff? He said, yeah. I said, do you have any family members that was close, that you loved, that passed away? He said, yeah. I said, now the people you seen that went to jail and went to prison, did you choose to do different than what they was doing so that you wouldn't go? He said, yeah, I had to because I wanted to be out here for my kids. I said, okay, now we finna have a real conversation. I said, if somebody try to do something to your kids, would you kill for your kids? He said, yeah. I said, if somebody was I said, if it was a situation where you had to make a choice, would you die for your kids? He said, yeah. So I said to him, how come you can't change for them? Why you can't change for your kids, man? The situation you and this sister is in right now is because you couldn't change and be better. You know what I'm saying? And she even sitting up saying, at the times when I done been around and talked to them both, I can't accept Islam and take Islam serious because he don't. I look at it as just a phase for him. It's just a phase he going through. I can't take it serious because he don't. And then these same little Muslims who he come around or they call him on the phone, ain't none of them no good. They look at me. They say little stuff if they see me in the store. And I know she not lying. So I tell them, man. You know why I asked you about the people you had that passed away? I said, let's be real. And according to the Deen of Islam, let's be real. No matter how much you love them, how many of them going to touch that hellfire? This was difficult for him. This was difficult for him because he didn't have it in him to say possibly all of them. Possibly all of them. And I said, see right there, that's the problem. Because we come from Christianity and we don't accept the fact, we don't truly accept the fact, man, that people going to hell because we love them. So we still follow and live the type of life that they live. See, if you look at some of them people and accept the fact, no matter how much you love them, whether they be your father, your mother, your grandmother, your grandfather, regardless to who they is, your best friend, your homie, your friend to the end, and they passed away out there trying to kill somebody and got killed. Now, we not condemning them, saying 100% sure they going to the hellfire, because Allah may change and have some mercy on them. But by what Allah Azza wa Jal say, they going to the hellfire. But see, you don't look at them, and you don't look at the path that they chose, and you don't take it serious, and you will follow that exact same path. Why? Because you haven't accepted the fact that hell is real. Just because you love them so much, you really still want to believe that they looking down over you in heaven. You ain't ready to accept that. And once you able to accept that people go to hell, possibly some of the people that you love, you're going to change your condition, brother. You're going to change your conditions. You understand? You're going to make decisions that because you don't want to go to prison. So you're not going to do what they was doing that got them put in prison. But those people that you know, that it's an extremely strong possibility that they going to touch that hellfire, why you ain't going to stop doing what they was doing? Why you not going to stop doing what they was doing? Because you don't truly believe, see? You don't truly believe. You don't. You don't. And see, you done put yourself, you could possibly put yourself in a position, young blood, where Allah's book, the comprehension, the understanding, the reality of it, you might be turned away from it, baby pa. And then you sitting around listening to these dudes, man. You sitting around listening to these creeps. Because they go to the masjid on Fridays. Some of them, and I ain't gonna knock them, man, and these things that I done said to them. Some of them just sophisticated beggars, bruh. Some of them up there just showing their teeth, man, so they can ask for money and get an envelope. Feeling like they getting over on some foreigners. I've been watching them doing it for years and tell them to their face they ought to be ashamed of themselves. Going and trying to spend a night in the masjid during the last 10 days of Ramadan because you want them to give you a zakat envelope at the end. Get mad. Say out their mouth, man, I stayed in this masjid all these 10 days for nothing. What? You listening to these people, man? Now your family falling apart. You got kids all out of wedlock, bro. You think Allah pleased with this? Maybe Allah is trying to take it away from you so that you will get right. Somebody got to save you. You headed to the hellfire, bruh. But see, you don't believe that because you living like everybody else live that's around you. And it's okay to them. But see, it was a time when some of these people who running around here with the Christians in that same book, see, it was a time in their life they didn't do sex before marriage. They didn't live with each other before if they wasn't married. But see, all that done disappeared. And by the look at y'all and all these people that you following up behind, it's disappearing with the Muslims too, ain't it? Perhaps they being turned away from Allah's book because the way they walk around here and carry themselves. Man, do y'all know, man, how many people, man, I done had to call on the phone and say, look, man, listen, man. Man, you got to marry that girl, man. Some of them, sometimes they both be Muslims. Sometimes he's Muslim, she's Muslim, and they living together talking about they go together. Get on their nerves. Man, you got to marry her, man. I'll do it, man. Y'all sitting around seeing each other naked, man. Not lowering your gaze, man. That woman not permissible for you because y'all been doing it already. You seeing her walking around in the town, she seeing you. Y'all doing whatever to each other. Putting jelly on each other or whatever it is y'all got going on. While Allah can see you. And y'all don't even care. What if Allah take this deen away from you, man, and make it impossible for you to comprehend? See, and that's why I be trying to tell these people, man, these brothers, and like I told him in the beginning, one thing about coming to the deen of Islam, man, one thing that you need to realize is, brother, you got to change. You can't take your shahada on, you act in a certain way all the way up till Sunday. You take your shahada on Monday, and then an hour after you took your shahada, you still acting the exact same person and don't even feel like changing. No, you got to change, brother. The only thing you did was just change the religion you believe in. You ain't changed as a person. See, it ain't in here. You ain't did nothing but took your shahada. You got to change, brother. Allah don't change the condition of a people until they start to change it for themselves. You taking your shahada don't mean nothing. This deen is about action. Man, I done took my shahada, man. Yeah, but you still the same person. You still doing the same stuff. You still living the same. You still living with this girl you ain't supposed to be around. Y'all having babies. Y'all fighting. It's getting physical. Y'all cussing each other out. You know what I'm saying? You this close in her face. Yo. Like, boy, what's wrong with you, man? That's still a woman. I don't care how much her mouth is irritating. It's still a woman. You think Allah pleased with all this? And then after y'all come to a resolve where y'all not fighting no more and this and that, when did you go make 2 rakats for Tawbah? When did you go follow up them bad deeds with a good deed? You doing everything that Islam tell you not to do, and then you not doing anything that Islam tell you to do. But because you Muslim and you around other Muslims who don't know nothing, and you could use a couple of Arabic words that they might not know, or quote something you heard in a video, you feel like you that guy around them. You arrogant without right. You trying to teach something you don't even have a clue about. But they not gonna know no better. That's the reason why you their teacher. Because they don't know no better. Man, Allah make it, you won't be able to comprehend this thing, man. Allah is saying it right there in the book. You got to be careful, man. You got to change, young blood. And just like I said, some of us, it's our problem, man. We'll die for our kids, we'll kill for our kids, but we won't change, see? Changing, man, just a simple change can change your whole life. Some of us can't do it, man. Some of us can't leave our conniving ways, our little jealousy ways. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, I done seen individuals, man, who we was doing classes together. Now, let me throw in this disclaimer and make sure that I put out that it was men before some sister starts saying I'm talking about her. But the person who knew me and that I was cool with, they put the class together. But because of little differences, like they act like they had a plug on the class. So all the classes was a go-between between me and that person and them setting it up. They stopped setting up the classes for the people. I wasn't going to say nothing, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have no contact with them. But, you know, and then sometimes they'll say something like, man, such and such still doing that book, man. They gonna tell me to ask you this, and this. I'm like, yeah, when they say that to you today? Nah, man, this was like last month. Why you say something? Like, what's up with the classes anyway? They got mad at me. It's like, man, I thought you was their friend, man. Like, why you gonna mess it up? But like I said, I already seen it coming. That's why I did the classes the way that I did. Y'all better absorb this. And if y'all ain't gonna do something and where y'all have some type of contact with me, it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time, man. Some people just conniving and jealous hearted, man, and don't have no fear that Allah Azza wa Jal will stop them from comprehending that Quran. You're doing things that lead to the hellfire, man. But see, we don't accept it. Why? Because deep down inside, we got that old kafir mentality that our loved ones right now. You can have some people, man, the people they love the most, and be like, tell the truth, man. You think they going to the hellfire? No, not my loved ones. Nope. They in that grave, and they body in that grave, they looking over me. They can't accept it, man. It ain't real for them. And if it was real for them, they're going to make sure that they not going to follow the path that they followed. Some of us still living like those people, man. And we not going to change. Because ain't nothing wrong with it. Better take heed to that book, man. And that's why I'm trying to help people start to dig into this stuff in English, because sometimes you just got to start to meet people where they are as opposed to where you want to see them at or where you think they should go, because some people ain't gonna never learn no Arabic, man. And then you have some people who just ain't gonna study and read, just be like, man, I'm gonna wait till I learn Arabic. But I ain't even taking how much time do you think you have? Now a year done passed, 2 years done passed, ain't learned an inkling of Arabic. That's shaitan playing with your head, man. But anyway, man, let me get up and do what I gotta do, man. You know, that's a serious thing, man, and that's what I want people to grasp, man. How real is hell to us? And you wanna know how real hell is to you? Think about some of the people that you loved. And then say, yeah, they violated all the laws of of Allah in their book, in Quran al-Kareem. They love they swine, they love they intoxicants, they love they fornicating, they love they boyfriend, they love they girlfriends, they love they stealing, they love they lying. But I love them. You want to know how real hell is to you? Think about somebody you love that done passed away. And say, man, according to the laws of Allah Azza wa Jal, I bet you can't do it. And if you can't do it, then you don't really believe. You don't really believe. And we not saying 100% they, because Allah might have some mercy. And I had to say that as a nicety. It's over. And until we can accept that, we ain't gonna get right. We ain't gonna get right. We gonna keep on pea-footing around, thinking we slick, thinking we cool. This deen ain't nothing to play with, man. It's all about Jannah. This ain't something you accept to be cool with the guys. This is about Jannah, man. No more, no less. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.